All right, so doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting different results is the definition of insanity. Strong words, but those are not mine. They are from the flag bearer of the Convention People's Party, Ivor Greentstreet, as he makes a pitch to Ghanaians to consider the CPP in the upcoming election. According to the CPP leader, giving the NDC and NPP another chance at governing the country will be irrational. Ivor Greentstreet has been speaking at the launch of his party's manifesto a while ago at the headquarters of the party.
Of the national crisis into which the P and the NDC NPP have plunged us demands that the good people of Ghana muster the courage and give them an electric shock on the 7th of December. Some people say that trying the same thing over and over again without success and expecting a different result is the definition of insanity. We have tried the NDC and NPP on 7 occasions since 1992, and neither party has lived up even to our most reasonable expectations, let alone their grand promises. It would be irrational for us either to try the NDC or the NPP again and hope for any other result than the same disappointment and delusionment. Enough is enough. Ghanaians must seize this opportunity to deliver a powerful electoral message to the leaders of these two parties in order to demonstrate to them that we are not impressed by the constant comparison of their respective records of failure. It is high time now for us to choose something new in our lives. A vote for the CPP is a vote for ourselves, and therefore it is a vote for yourself.
Mr. Greentstreet has also been outlining a number of promises he says holds the key to Ghana's success, including freezing ex gratia payments to all Article 71 office holders and giving state support for the creation of factories. Take a listen.
I want to share with you some 10 brief points taken from our manifesto, which will guide you to the kinds of change that the Convention People's Party intends to bring to our beloved country. Under governance, we will take another look at this constitutional review process. We will freeze all Article 71 ex gratia payments pending a review. We will immediately implement the right to the information bill. We will freeze the sale of all government property to civil servants and public servants and political appointees. We will also review such past sales and reclaim such state properties, especially land. Under infrastructure, we shall complete all proper infrastructure projects begun by previous governments. We shall directly offer state support for the creation of factories in strategic areas to create productive and permanent jobs. Under food and agriculture, we will offer our farmers a guaranteed market and a fair price for a wide range of food and cash crops, as was done to produce cocoa's miracle. We will also place a moratorium on the importation of chicken and rice imports within a year. Under the economy, taxation, and investment, much is dependent on our financial situation, but we intend to review and or remove all tax exemptions to foreign-owned companies. Review and remove and reduce corporate tax from 25% to 20% for Ghanaian-owned businesses and VAT to 10% or progressively to single digits. We will consider the increase in tax on foreign exchange remittances sent out by foreign businesses. We will consider a rise to 25% retention of foreign exchange proceeds by foreign companies.
Justice Henako is Secretary of the Manifesto Committee for the CPP, and he joins me in the studio now. So freezing ex gratia payments to Article 71 holders and providing support for the creation of factories. Those are very interesting, promises. I mean, we're seeing a lot of promises or hearing a lot of promises from the various candidates. But tell us more about what your manifesto holds for the people of Ghana.
Well, good afternoon, and good afternoon to your viewers. It is not really promises. What we are actually proposing to do is to rebuild the state and restore trust in government. You realize that a whole lot of people are giving up. You yourself, you broadcast on the news, people saying that no roads, no vote, nothing. It means trust in government is a big issue in our current dispensation, as well as the fact that we have a broken state. And we've had a broken state since 1982 because of the kind of socioeconomic architecture which has been built in our country and which has produced a duopoly which does the same thing over and over again and gives up empty promises. Article 71, why is it that ex gratia is not paid to workers, people who have worked for 30, 40 years building this country, creating the wealth of this country, but ex gratia is given to only the elite, the political and high public servant elite in this country.
Also working for the country?
Indeed, just like all others. So if they are going to be paid ex gratia, then everybody should be paid ex gratia. If ex gratia is not good for the working people, then they shouldn't have ex gratia.
I noticed you didn't say that you are scrapping it totally, but you are just freezing it. So is that you're just suspending it and then you come back to it later? Is that what it is?
No, we're freezing it so that we review it. Indeed, if you go into the manifesto, we're going to link the payment of whatever it is, pensions, to the current social security pensions, which is paid to everybody. We have to have a level playing field for all people who work for this country. So that is about the ex gratia. Indeed, we're also talking about the fact that people use their positions to take government lands for a song. People use their positions to procure brand new cars when they're about to go on retirement and then sell it at almost next to nothing to themselves. We're going to scrap that. And we're going to make sure that all the state lands, which were not advertised, but were taken because of people's, by virtue of people's positions, the government, if we get into power, will take it back for the state.
All right.
So, but one of the main features which is different from that of the duopoly is that we insist on planning.
Planning?
Planning. Everything must be planned. And so there should be a medium-term and to long-term plan for our country. Plan which is cross-sectoral, across board, in everything that we do.
Is that not what the NDP's mandate is? The National Development Planning Commission's mandate is?
Has it been able to do it?
But it is not binding on the parties, which is why we're in the situation we are.
And that is exactly why there's no spatial planning. There's no land use planning.
So what would the CPP do differently?
What we'll do differently is that we'll draw up a national development plan, of course, with the NDPC, and enshrine it in law.
Okay.
So that for the period of our time, we will adhere to it and challenge any other of the parties
for it to be passed by Parliament, you must necessarily have a majority in Parliament. Over the past 20 years or so, the CPP has had a negligible number of, representatives in Parliament. So how feasible is what you are proposing to us?
You see, our mentality of winner takes all should drastically change if we want change in this country. This country belongs to all of us. That concept of opposition for opposition's sake, it's not necessary. We need consensus. So we not having a majority in Parliament does not preclude the fact that we can create a national government across the aisle.
Okay. All right. So tell us, what does your manifesto say about unemployment? We know that that's one of the major topics going into the elections. the two major parties, the NPP and the NDC, have put out their plans for the youth and for creation of jobs. What is the CPP proposing to do?
What we are proposing to do is that we need to have an investment strategy in strategic industries. We need to, one, create an import substitution sector and an export-led sector. These two are the ones which, based upon production, which would create permanent jobs and employ our teeming youth. We don't want temporary jobs for our people. We want to make use of the skills and the education which has been acquired about our youth so that we can create wealth, because without production, wealth can be created. And we need real factories, the factories which were abandoned.
And so that's
not
how you
those
propose
toy
to
factories which we are being subjected to
toy
now.
Factories?
Indeed.
Why do you call them toy factories?
Because they are little cottage factories which are being built all over. When you talk of a factory, you are talking of an entity which has got a backward linkage to raw materials and a forward linkage to marketing.
And you're saying the current factories that we have
Absolutely
don't
not.
have that?
Let me give you an example. We grow cotton in this country. We grow cotton in the north. We have a ginnery in Tamale. That ginnery treats the cotton, and the cotton is brought to Japan, which of course the CPP built, to make the yarn, which is the basis for textiles. And then it's taken to Akosombo Textile to make the cloth. Then it is brought to GNTC wholesale textiles for the women to take it to go and sell. And then we had the Department of Textiles in KNUST in order for them to train those who would do the textiles. That is what we call a value chain from raw material production in our country right down to we making use of the end product.
Interesting. So we'll see a return to that if the CPP is elected into power. Okay, tell us about education. That's a major issue to going into the elections. The NPP has been touting its free SHS policy. The NDC has been talking about how it intends to review it and improve it. What does the CPP intend to do? Well,
we ought to understand that free education has been in progress since 1960. To date, from 1960, tuition and access to textbooks have been made free, even up to today. What Nanando and the NPP have done is to give free boarding and lodging, in addition to the free tuition and free access to textbooks, which has been there since 1960. In 1960, we made it compulsory for everyone to go to school. We are going to make it compulsory again.
How do you intend to do that?
Well, I mean, the law will be there. I mean, everybody who is of school-going age must be made to go to school.
We have so many laws in this country. The problem is implementation or enforcement. So how do you intend to enforce the law?
Yes, we're taking note that there's lawlessness, low-level lawlessness in this country. And one of our biggest aims in this the CPP dispensation is to enforce the law. We are not going to add new laws. All the laws are there already. It's enforcement which is a problem.
And how do you intend to
we use the institutions, we will strengthen the institutions for law enforcement. We'll give them the needed political direction. The truth of the matter is that just imagine how the sirens are used. Without recourse to the guidelines on the use of sirens. And if the ordinary people see their leaders being lawless, naturally, they are also going to be lawless. They're going to follow suit.
Interesting. So we are just about less than 40 days to the elections. What has accounted for the delay in launching your manifesto? Because, I mean, do you really expect Ghanaians to be able to assimilate all the policies that you have contained in your manifesto between now and December 7 in order to make an informed choice and perhaps vote for the CPP?
Well, there have been challenges within our party, and we're only able to go to Congress in late August. So we just had September, when the new leadership came into power, to write our manifesto. Now, as to it being assimilated by the people of Ghana, the truth of the matter is that we are giving out an entirely alternative to the status quo. And so we expect Ghanaians to be very curious. Oh, what are they saying? Because what we are saying is that the duopoly has, since 1982, repeated the same old formula, and it has brought us no change. And that, so long as the same old formula is going to be repeated, let's try something new. And we are offering the people of our country something new. Something new.
Indeed. And how convinced are you that the people will choose the CPP over the NDC and the NPP? You're promising something new, but they've heard this several times.
Yeah. Well, the good people of our country have a choice. They are the kings, they are the electorate. They can either choose to live in the squalor which has been created by the duopoly, or they can look to a bright new future which is being preferred to them by the CPP. A
bright new future. Well, we'll see. But hold on for me. We have a video. I want you to watch this video.
Total support. Number 4 on the ballot.
That's right.
So we are going to count from 1 to 4. And on number 4 on the ballot, I'm going to apply 240 votes into these two, NDC and NPP. Are you ready?
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So the CPP wants Ghanaians to give the NPP and the NDC an electric shock. We saw that video there. Explain to us what you mean when you say you want to give Ghanaians to give the NDC and NPP an electric shock.
Anytime you are ill, you need a certain cure, and therapy is important. The therapy we are suggesting for the cure for our country is to give a shock therapy to the duopoly. We have seen them, we are tired of them, they are bored, and so we need to use part of the electricity from Akosombo, which we built, to give them an electric shock therapy. And you can only do that by voting for number 4 for the CPP. When you hear the cock crowing on the dawn of
early in the
morning, and you get to the polling station, it is number 4. You vote for number 4, give an electric shock so that we can create change, a bright new future for our beloved
Very finally,
country.
So everybody is confident that their party will win the elections. But by what percentage are you predicting that the CPP will win the election?
I wouldn't say today by giving any prediction, but we expect that the good people of this country would be minded to vote for change and put us on top.
Very well. Thank you so much for your time. That's Mr. Henaku. He is a member of the CPP's manifesto committee there. You're still here with me, Ivor Greentstreet, on election.